Hello, everyone. My name is Omar Wazani, and this is my identity. So, a little bit about who I am. My name is Omar. I was born in Jordan, which is a country in the Middle East. It is bordered by Saudi, Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine. It is a fairly small country that is ruled by a king and queen over about 7 million people. In the picture here, you can see me during my high school graduation alongside my grandfather and grandmother. I was born in Jordan in 1997 and I attended about 18 years of school there. Um, After which I moved to the UK and then after to Toronto. I'm son of His Excellency Dr. Khalid Al Wazani, who previously used to be the king's financial advisor. I think that this is a huge part of my identity because being the son of His Excellency has helped me go through a few experiences in my life that have shaped my identity and who I am today, and I will be speaking to you about them in this presentation. I'm going to start off with my music life. I started music early in my life, about when I was 6 or 7 years old. As you can see in the photo on the top right, I'm holding the oud, which is a musical instrument with about 11 strings. It is close to the guitar, but not mainly just in shape and not the sound exactly. I started playing oud, which is an Arabic instrument. It is, you could call it the Arabic version of the guitar. It's huge in most of the Middle East, culture-wise. It's been around for years, and I started it at 6 years old because my mom wanted me to learn an instrument as a child, and due to our culture, she picked the oud because it was usually oud players would be the people who when there are gatherings or family around, would grab everyone together through a song or a performance. And on the bottom left of the page, you can see me when I was about 16 years old playing the bass guitar. Getting into the bass guitar and a different cultural side of music came to me as I became older and mastered my first instrument. I actually taught myself to play the bass guitar because playing a stringed instrument is more or less close in terms of the abilities you need to play the instrument. So it was a bit easy for me to transition into a bass guitar right after I'd say mastered or played the oud for a few years. And getting into the bass guitar was part of my idea of exploring new identities, different cultures, different types of music to broaden my horizon in a way. Another part of my background are animals. I'm a huge animal lover. All my friends, ever since they've known me, if anyone would get a new puppy or a dog or most animals, they would give me a call because of the loads of experience that I've had with some animals, I'd say. I started out riding horses at the age of 7. My mom also signed me up to do that. And a bit of a background fact about my culture in specific. I am a Muslim, and in some of the talks that refer to the Prophet, they said that the Prophet would say to teach your children how to swim, ride horses, and hunt. Them being at the time very crucial for daily life. And so ever since I was a kid, due to our culture of being a Muslim country, my mom enrolled me in horseback riding as a kid. I've also done swimming as well, due to the same fact, but I will get to that later. But yes, I started riding horses when I was of the age of 7. I've been riding horses ever since for my entire life. I do actually have allergies from the horses, but I do not let that stop me from riding because it's been a part of my life ever since I was a child and I can't give it up. At the age of 14, I bought my own first horse, and I think that this purchase was a big part of my identity as well, is because after I bought my first horse, I started becoming a bit more into running marathons with my horse, trying to enter competitions, and sharing the genuine bond that you have between you and the animal. I entered the first marathon when I was about 16. It was 100 kilometers. I did not finish it, I would say that. I did about 50 of those kilometers, and I actually got tired, to be honest, and so did the horse. But it was my first experience. I went on to do a few more after that, after I got my stamina up and I trained better and better. And another part of my life, I do own a lot of animals. I do have a farm back home in Jordan. But right now, as you can see on the top left side of the screen, there's a puppy. That puppy is Billy. He's my current dog. I adopted Billy when I first came to Toronto about 3 years ago. And I made it a thing. I'd say up till now, I've had over 30 dogs in my life. I've rescued a lot. I have dogs in the farm. I have dogs at home. I've rehomed a lot of dogs. I do care about animals and their rights because I've been heavily involved with them as a child, and I've connected with them and seen how they've got different personalities, and they've got their own world on its own. Sorry. And so I was saying, I adopted Billy because I don't believe that people should buy animals. I don't believe you should have a market where you encourage the business side of selling animals. So I went straight ahead into the Toronto Humane Society when I came here, and due to my background of being heavily involved with animals and having dogs around me all the time, I just knew when I moved here that I could not do it without my pet. And so I went there, and it took me a few weeks finding the perfect puppy, and I ended up getting Billy from the shelter. And it was the best decision I've ever made. As well, you can see on the bottom right hand side of the slide, you can see my horse. Her name's Farah, which directly translates to happiness. She is not my first horse. She's actually the daughter of my first horse. I sadly lost my first horse as she was giving birth to Farah. And this was about when I was 17 years old, and I had to raise Farah as my own, give her milk every single day. We had the fridge stocked up with cartons of milk to try and get her through the first few months, which are like very hard. And it made me connect even more with animals and horses in general. And that's why I've put the picture of Farah down below. Another huge part of my life was the army. You see, with my dad being working in the government and the politics side and the economic side of the world, he was heavily linked with the royal family, and so I was enrolled frequently in different army forces. I'd say I was more forced into it, but I honestly never looked back at it after I started taking off. It gave me a lot of discipline. It taught me how to focus on my task, how to work hard, and basically push through. It taught me a lot of teamwork, and I've learned skills that I'm thankful for today. In the right hand corner, you can see this was me when I was about maybe 13 years old, 14 years old. I was grabbing the confirmation certificate from His Royal Highness Prince Faisal, who happens to be the king's brother, after one of my army drills that I've enrolled in. As you can see, I'm also dressed in army pants, and I'm wearing a sort of this is a cultural piece of clothing found in Jordan. It is usually worn on the head to protect Bedouins from the sun and all that, because we live in a desert. It represents basically my hometown, and so as you can see, I'm wearing it on my back as I accept the certificate. And on the bottom left hand side, you can see a picture of me in full scuba diving gear. As I said before, my mom made sure to enlist me in swimming as well, and I've been swimming ever since I was a child. And due to being in the or working with army forces, I was intrigued to know more about scuba diving because everyone recommended to me. Everyone, especially my friends who have tried it, they were all like, "You love animals, you love adventures. You're like it's part of your soul. You go down there and you experience a world that we've never seen before." And I was like, I need to try that out. And I did grab my PADI certificate for open water diving when I was about 18 years old, 17 years old actually. And I've been scuba diving ever since. Whenever I get the chance, I see the gear or I'm on vacation next to a sea, I always look for a scuba diving center and I hit the waters right away. It became a bit of like my second home in the water there where it's all calm and steady. And I'd say it also changed the way I experienced my country as well. Now, you see, Jordan is a very small country, and there's only one city with a port and sea in which I could scuba dive, which is about 400 kilometers away from the capital, which is where I live in Jordan. And so experiencing scuba diving made me go to that city, which is named Aqaba. It made me go there frequently, once a month, maybe sometimes if I'm caught up with school, once every couple of months. Just scuba dive, experience a different side of the world, live by the sea, and just go through the whole experience of changing the dynamic of living in the capital to another city. And you see, Aqaba is a port city, but it's not a very wealthy city in Jordan. And so when I used to head down there, I'd learn more from the locals. I'd spend a lot of time diving with different tourists and people, connecting with everyone around me. And it was just an experience that built confidence in me in communicating with people, working in a team, and just experiencing new things as I go along. And the next part of my identity is the performing arts. I joined the performing arts in grade 10. It happened very randomly. It was like it was meant to be. I didn't think twice about it. I was walking out of my drama class and I found this paper to sign up for the backstage crew for one of the performances my high school was holding. And I thought to myself, well, I'm free this term and I don't really have anything going on. And so I enrolled in it, and I was like, okay, that's fine. And funny enough, I actually did not get called up to go to the theater and work. And I didn't think twice about it because I was not properly invested in it, I'd say. And then one day, while I was walking, the theater teacher talked to me, and we were good friends as she taught me my drama class as well. And she asked me if I joined the performing arts society to help out with plays and all that. And I actually told her, well, I did sign up, but I thought you guys were like full or overloaded or such. And she was like, oh, show me on which paper. And she actually took out the papers of like people signing up. And I was like, oh, there's my name right there. And she was like, I'm so sorry, I did not see your name. And she like right ahead told me, look, we have rehearsals today. If you'd like to join, please do. We'd love to have you on. And like I wasn't actually invested in it at the time. I was just like, well, I've got some free time after school. I'm not doing any activities this term. And a lot of people also describe me as a person who's outgoing, always wanting to try new stuff. And so I'm always intrigued. If I can find something to fill up my time with, I'd go right ahead and do it. And so I was like, sure. I called my parents. I was like, I'm going to be late from school today. I'm going to join the theater. And they were excited for me, and I did go ahead. And I never looked back. 2 years later, upon graduation, I was handed the Technical Theatre Student Award, which basically is awarded for the star theatre student of the graduating class. And I was in charge of the entire theatre in my high school. I was even given the keys to the door of the theatre, which has never happened before for a student. And through my years about 3 years of being in theatre at school, I was scouted by a casting agency called Stardust Casting or Stardust Academy. And it is the hugest performing arts and casting company in Jordan. I As you can see in the picture below, I'm located right in the middle, wearing a white shirt and some blue letters going in an arc over my shirt, and a sort of eagle. Right in front of me, with the blonde hair, is Lara, who happens to be my boss. Lara scouted me ever since I was a kid working for school. She would come in, watch every single play to like know the talents in our country and all that. And year after year, she'd come in, and by the time I was graduating, I just got a phone call from her, and she was like, "My name's Lara." Of course, I knew her then, and she told me, I'm interested in adding you to my cast, and I'd love you to come on with us at Stardust and further develop your abilities. And I was like, of course, I'd love to do that. I showed up the next day at the office, and up till now, whenever I go back to Jordan, I've got a position at Stardust to work in the performing arts. And I say the performing arts more than I'd say theater, is because after I joined Stardust in the casting agency, I became a bit more versatile in the performing arts department. I first stuck to theater on its own, but now I work from film sets to theaters to commercials to casting, and it's made me connect with a lot of people in the arts industry in Jordan, and it added more to my background and identity. And I think I've had a mixed background with some army, a bit of sports, a bit of horseback riding, scuba diving, some theater. I tried to merge everything together, and that's how Stardust actually influenced me to explore the world a bit more. And a bit of an overview, I'd say, to recap my presentation. I spoke to friends and family to try and get an input of what they think my identity has been over the years, or what I've developed to try and get an overview of my life, I'd say. I got a lot of comments about being a family man. Back home, I do live with my mother, and I do try to take care of whatever she needs, and I'm very family oriented and family focused, and I try to always think of them first, try to support them whenever I can, and see them as often as I can. I was also described as a workhorse. I'd say that is due to being heavily involved with experiences ever since I was a kid. I was always doing something. I always had something I'd play with, something I'm learning, a new idea I'm trying to create. And due to that, I've always been working hard, grinding, because I've seen how I can achieve results by working hard, and I've just been that ever since I've developed into my late teens, I'd say. Some people have also said that I am very intelligent, and I do think that is due to the point after that, which is experience oriented. I think they both link together. It's because ever since I was a child, I've worked every single summer. I've done a lot of experiences, and I've built my intelligence on real life experiences in which I try to learn to the fullest, try to understand how everything works, why I'd fail at some tasks, why I wouldn't. And it just taught me how to be better at life. I do not think I perfect life, or anyone does, or I also don't think I've understood life. I don't think anyone does, but I do think that the more you involve yourself with the experiences, the more you are the more you are an intellectual, the more you learn about life, the more you understand that you also don't know much about life, because it is a wide array, and I was lucky enough to have experienced the experiences that I have to create such an identity for myself of a family man, a working person, I'd say, an intelligent individual. And ever since then, I've always tried to build more and more on my identity and as to who I am today. And I am today living in Toronto, and I'm learning, and I'm adding more to my experiences, and I will never stop doing that because of how I grew up, because of the culture that sort of in a way forced me into activities such as music and horseback riding, in which I connected, and I learned that life has many paths and many activities, and I'm always excited to start new experiences and learn from them, to add on to my identity, which I think is, I'd say, a learner at the end of the day, someone who likes to experience life and see different parts of it, try new things out. And I've recently also been intrigued about skydiving, and I do think I'm going to give it a try in the near future. I am afraid of some heights, but I don't mind it at all. I'm always in for new experiences that would make me a better person and teach me more about myself and life. Thank you.